Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
Well, yesterday, Fed Chair Jay Powell noted that the latest inflation report was higher than expected, putting next week's CPI report back into focus. One thing that is actually less expensive than last year, though, is turkey. According to the most recent CPI report, although poultry overall is up 0.5% since last year, turkey prices are down 2.2%. I know Jay Jandrain watches this closely. Jay's CEO at Butterball. It sells a lot of turkeys, especially this time of year. Jay joins us from Butterball headquarters in Garner, North Carolina. Jay, good to talk to you again. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
We're doing pretty well. We're going to talk about Thanksgiving and the turkey report that you guys have, but I do want to start with the election because we're talking to all leaders about this one, because a change in the White House of this magnitude has serious implications for businesses and business leaders. What does a Trump White House mean for Butterball?
Well, certainly it remains to be seen exactly how this administration will play out. As we, from the last Trump administration, it didn't have any significant direct impact that we saw as a result of any policy at that time. And don't expect there'll be any significant changes again with this administration. But that remains to be seen. He's got to select his cabinet. We'll see what kind of position he takes on some of these issues. But we'll deal with it as it comes. But we don't expect any significant issues at this point.
Deregulation. Tim actually spoke with ARK Invest Kathy Wood just yesterday. So she sees massive deregulation ahead. Does that include deregulation in the poultry industry specifically?
I wouldn't expect so. From a food safety standpoint, that's one of the main things that we pay attention to. There is good regulation. I mean, there are some things that are certainly good about that. Make sure that we have a safe food supply. Regardless of what comes down with that, we're going to still make sure that we produce a safe product and give the consumers what they need. So while there may be some modifications, some changes here and there, some subtle changes, don't expect anything big, and certainly don't expect any big unwinding of any policies that we have to work within.
Jay, what about the labor side of this? Because this time, the former president and now president-elect, he ran on this policy of mass deportations, promising to deport millions of people who are here illegally. No question that's going to have profound implications for their workforce if he sees it through, and he says he will see it through. And it'll affect companies that don't employ people who are here illegally. Poultry processing facilities known to employ migrant workers. How are you planning for how this could affect your business?
Well, as it is now and has been, we comply with all the regulations that we need to make sure that we're only hiring documented workers. So it really shouldn't have any impact on us whatsoever. We've had, actually, our labor situation has been very good and continuing to improve over the last couple of years as we get out of COVID, which is great news. And I really attribute that to the work that we've done on our people efforts. The training that we've done for our folks, the benefits that we provide to them have really put us in a really great spot. We're now have a labor situation that's much better than it has been for at least the last 6 years. Yeah. So with regard to the immigration policy itself, it really won't have any impact because we're not unable to hire those folks as it is now anyway.
Yeah, Jay, and don't get me wrong, I'm not implying that Butterball employs people who are undocumented. What I'm saying, though, is there is this chain reaction in the labor force. When you remove a large portion of people who are here illegally, but also might be working, then there are other people who need to fill those roles that they previously worked in. And I'm wondering if that could have upward pressure on your costs, because you'll then have to find new people to work in your facilities because the people who were there might have gone somewhere else.
Well, I think the key is making sure that we keep our people happy. And based on the feedback that we get from our folks, we talk to them regularly. We do a lot of work with surveys and making sure that we talk one-on-one with our people and really understand that we're meeting the needs of what they're looking for in an employer, and we feel really good about our position. So, that certainly isn't something that we're terribly concerned about. We're just going to make sure that we take care of our folks, the ones that we have, and continue to give them positive opportunities to grow within the organization.
You export products to more than 30 countries. How are you thinking about potential regulatory tariffs?
Well, we don't see anything directly coming within our categories. We haven't in the past. So that's certainly good news. And it just really remains to be seen. Again, with the previous Trump administration, there's a lot of effort in those areas from a tariff standpoint and different categories. We didn't see any retaliatory tariffs, as an example, with our products. Hopefully that will not be the case this year. So, we've got an open mind. We're continuing to look and evaluate the situation. But at this point, there really isn't anything we can do until we start seeing how those negotiations start to play out.
Jay, I'm just wondering, like, do you have somebody in a policy position at the company who can represent you in Washington? Does it feel like if you do, you have to sort of beef that presence up a little bit, pun intended?
Yeah, we actually have our trade organization, the National Turkey Federation, does a great job with regard to that. We've got folks there in D.C., very well connected on the Hill. My company and other companies in our industry spend quite a bit of time up there as well, talking to our legislators. So we really make sure that we can take the time to give them the topics that are important to us, the positions we're looking to take, and hopefully we can end up with a positive outcome. But we feel really good about our representation there now through the National Turkey Federation.
I wanted to get a glean just on the inflation question, because we've seen it come down so much from the rate of change over the last few years. But unit labor costs, so for our listeners, basically what a business is paying to employees to produce 1 unit of output. How are you viewing when it comes to how you're paying those wages? And are you still feeling a pinch here when you're thinking about, when everyone's discussing about the trajectory of rates in the Federal Reserve?
Yeah, we've got to be competitive, obviously. And we've done a lot over the last couple of years to make sure that we've got a good balance for our folks on both their working and their home life relationship and their income as well. That's a very important piece of it for us. We want to make sure that those folks are happy. Inflation overall has definitely hit us, just like the consumer. We have experienced that within our company, as have others. So when we talk to consumers now and we look at this holiday, we know that that's a very, very important aspect of what they're considering. Inflation is certainly top of mind. It was certainly a big issue for this election, and the consumers told us that. So we've been working very, very closely in preparation for this holiday to make sure that working with our retailers, we can give the best value to the consumers that are out there. And I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised. As you mentioned, we have seen turkey prices come down some. Looking at the retailers' prices that they're offering right now and the promotions that they're providing are a real advantage to what we saw even last year. So that's great news. So we certainly looking for every opportunity we can to help be a part of the solution, help make the holiday a little bit easier for folks as they roll into it.
Hey, Jay, stick around. We're going to do some news and we're going to come back and talk more about Butterball and the togetherness report that you guys have out. That's Jay Jandrain. He's the CEO of Butterball. This is Bloomberg. Sir, I want to get right back to Jay Jandrain. He is the CEO of Butterball. They sell a lot of turkeys. He joins us from Butterball headquarters in North Carolina. Jay, I was looking this morning for some numbers. You guys are privately held, so we don't have a ton of information on your numbers, but can you give us some ballpark figures about just how much turkey you're responsible for selling in the U.S.?
Sure. Well, we have within the holidays, certainly as we focus on Thanksgiving, about 1 in 3 turkeys that are sold every year are a Butterball turkey. So we're really proud of that position. We have a large market share. Spent a lot of time working with our consumers and our customers to make sure we deliver what they're looking for and look to obviously try to grow that every year. But we are the largest provider of turkey for the holiday, and we're very proud of that.
How much of your sales is around the Thanksgiving holiday versus outside of it?
It's about a third. When you look at our business overall, we have a considerable business in food service as well as in retail throughout the year and consumer packaged goods. And the holiday itself represents about a third of our business.
Is there effort to diversify in terms of timeline here and make it so that you see more sales outside of this concentrated period?
It certainly is. Our biggest push right now is on our value-added growth and our Butterball brand specifically. That is where we've been taking the company for the last several years. Fortunately, we've seen very good progress in that. We've seen our Butterball value-added business grow. We're also looking at growing outside of the U.S. So a number of initiatives there as well. So we're looking to get the brand spread out as much as we can. We've actually been very happy to see the acceptance of the brand in other countries where we distribute, even in countries where we haven't had Butterball at all before. As an example, we'll have Butterball branded turkeys in the UK this year for Christmas for the first time ever. And that's in a country where they have very little branded product to begin with. Most of it is private label in their grocery stores there, their retailers. So that really says a lot for the brand. We're really happy to see that happen.
So that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I've been outside of the U.S. for Thanksgiving a few times over my life, and this was years ago. It was remarkably hard to find a turkey when we could find a turkey. Why is it so hard to find a turkey outside the U.S.? Why is turkey such an American thing?
Well, for one thing, it's not an indigenous bird to most of the world, and a lot of cultures aren't used to consuming turkey. So we've really got an opportunity to help grow that, and that is a big opportunity for us to try to get outside of the U.S., try to go to countries where little to no turkey is consumed. Certainly, there's a lot of work on our part to educate them and to show the opportunities and how they can use the product. There are also barriers. There are a number of trade barriers in place right now where we can't export our product into certain countries because of various regulations that they've got, whether they're somewhat protectionist for their own supply, their own manufacturing, or whatever the case may be. So we have to get creative in ways that we can look to work into those markets, to open those markets up. Spent a lot of effort through our trade organization that I mentioned earlier, the National Turkey Federation, to help try to open up these countries. And then in some cases, even look for in-country producers to produce a product for us. So there are a number of different ways that we can look at that to grow our brand. We just have to be creative, but it's a tremendous opportunity for us to expand beyond our borders.
Hey, Jay, something I was thinking about, especially the last few Thanksgivings, just because of the cost of different items that people are eating. You know, Wells Fargo had an interesting report out recently talking about how the price of turkey is down almost 20% this year compared with a year ago. And actually, the American Farm Bureau Federation had talked about how the average price of a 16-pound turkey last year was around $27. What are you seeing here when it comes to those prices? Because as you know, especially over the last few years with inflation, what should people expect to spend here on different, whether it's turkey or other items?
Well, compared to last year, we are seeing retails lower. Now, we don't set the retails. Our customers certainly do that. But we work with them to make sure that we can give them the best value to begin with. I think what's really important to focus on what's important to focus on for the consumer is the value of that protein. At roughly $1 a pound, it's very, very difficult to find any protein that's going to be that economical. And especially during the holiday when there's a lot of feature activity, a lot of discounting going on, it really provides a phenomenal value, particularly now, as so many things are up. And there are a number of items on that Thanksgiving table that might be more expensive than last year. But the good news right now is it looks like turkey is not one of those. So we're real happy that we can help be a part of the solution in a time when folks are really struggling with the impact of inflation.
What should we expect for maybe the average sort of gathering sizes for Thanksgiving celebrations?
Well, from our report that you referenced earlier, we do know that people are celebrating Thanksgiving in pre-COVID numbers again, which is great. It's about 86% of the people that we talked to total say would be celebrating the holiday. And about 87% of those would have turkey at the table. And the gathering size is on average 9, which is a great number. We're really happy to see that people are able to get out again and travel and visit those that they want to be close to during the holiday and get back to those larger gatherings. So we're really proud to be a part of that.
Jay, good to have you back with us. Always good to check in with you. Kind of like early this year, I feel like, unless Thanksgiving is right around the corner, which it is. Jay Jandrain is the CEO of Butterball. Sell a lot of turkeys. He joins us from Butterball headquarters in Garner, North Carolina.